Hello and welcome to the Charles River Conservancy Parkland Show. My name is Renata from Charner. I'm the founder and president of the Charles River Conservancy. And I have with me here today as a guest, Jan Devereux. Welcome.
Thank you, Renata. I'm delighted to be here with an old friend.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
Jan is a brand new as of how many weeks?
I'm not counting weeks, I guess months. I was inaugurated on January 4th. So
January 4th, a
about 3
new
months.
city councillor of Cambridge. And it's wonderful that you did run for city council.
Yeah, my first try at running for office, and I won. So I'm pretty lucky.
That's
and
wonderful.
And very proud and grateful
Good.
to have this opportunity.
And I know you told me that you did some inline skating on Memorial Drive.
Yeah, that wasn't part of my campaign, but
Well, that was in your youth with your children, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I'm a resident of Cambridge since 1993, and in fact, you and I met way back then when our children were in preschool together. And I have watched over the years as you've launched the Conservancy and just been incredibly impressed with your commitment, your dedication, the way you've brought people together, and what you've accomplished. So it's been amazing, and you've been involved in public life in the sphere much longer than I have. So
Well, it's wonderful.
you're the expert.
It's wonderful that you kind of use the theme of livability, of also traffic issues, sustainability. I mean, you built your campaign on that.
I did. Well, a couple of years ago, I founded a neighborhood group called the Fresh Pond Residents Alliance because I live over in the Huron Village area, very near Fresh Pond, and that was my sort of center of gravity. But what I wanted to do was to start a conversation in the neighborhood and citywide about growth, change, how we plan for neighborhoods, how we maintain livability while we grow, how we manage issues like climate change, potential for flooding, and traffic, which is a huge reality if you live anywhere near Fresh Pond Parkway.
I know, it's not solved. I mean, it's not easy to solve. It will take a while to find ways around that.
Yeah.
But you lived in cities. You lived in Paris. You lived in New York.
That's right. Yeah.
So you know about urban living.
I do. I've lived in far larger, far denser cities, also both cities with wonderful riverfronts. And when I lived in Manhattan, I lived on the Upper West Side on Riverside Drive. So I used Riverside Park a lot, but that was in the 80s. And the West Side has changed tremendously, much for the better. What they've done with their riverfront is remarkable. That was not, anywhere near what it is today. And Paris too. I lived in Paris in the late 80s and early 90s. I'm really dating myself now. I was not a child. But what Paris has done remarkable things with the Paris Plage and the pool that's within the river. And they've always had a very, very active riverfront.
But what we have ahead of Paris, although I'm very fond of Paris, is our river, our Charles River, is swimmable and the Seine is not. So we have a little
Paris.
we have that. But of course, this show is about the Charles River and its parklands. And Fresh Pond just is barely on this map. But it would be, I think, since the show is always about the parklands, you had some wonderful questions when we were thinking of doing this show and to kind of what's happening on the river. And that kind of allows us to do a bit of an update on that.
Yeah, great.
And here you are with your blue river shawl, a proud new member.
And one of nine.
One of nine.
And one of only 2 women, and our mayor now is Denise Simmons.
Yeah,
so
that's great. And you chair the Health and Environment Committee very appropriately.
Yes.
For the Charles River, and you also chair the Economic Development and University Relations. So you will have a lot of dealings
I
with
think I'm going to be
river.
very busy over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you told me that you grew up on the ocean.
I did. I grew up in North Florida, right across the street from the Atlantic Ocean, with a wonderful wide white sand beach and very undeveloped.
Well, I don't think we're going to ever have a white sand beach. But what we see here on this map is North Point. We see the Museum of Science, and just next to it is North Point, which is the place where we would like to see swimming. And we hope that this will be the first real permanent swimming location on an urban river.
It would be amazing. Right next to the skate park, or within a stone's throw. You can do your skateboarding and then you can jump in the river and cool off.
Yeah, and not only is there the skate park, but they are of course also 2 playgrounds. So it is already a wonderful area, and it will be a whole new neighborhood that people of Cambridge still have to discover. It's still something that...
I only discovered it about 2 years ago. I had never been there. And, you know, when you live in West Cambridge, North Point, it feels like it's a long way away, but it's quite accessible, and it's an amazing park. It really is.
It is, and it's really a gift. It's a gift of the Big Ding mitigation.
Yeah.
It's also a gift of the federal government. The North Bank Bridge was a gift, a $32 million gift of the stimulus fund, because it was shovel ready.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful.
Yeah, we're lucky, and people need to discover it. So if you're over at the Science Museum or at the Cambridge Side Galleria, it's really not that far away.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I know you are also a bicyclist, so we now have wonderful bicycling area. And Memorial Drive, you mentioned that, you know, you like the idea of people being able to have access to the river. And there is actually, and on Magazine Beach is actually a place where you can take your boat and let your boat in. So that's a good place to have access to the river. And
Kathy Zuzi has done amazing work in galvanizing the community around Magazine Beach. So,
yes, absolutely. She's amazing.
She's a great partner for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh, she is, and Jay Livingstone. And I've actually done several shows with Kathy and with Jay Livingstone. Mm-hmm. So if you're interested in Magazine Beach, you can go to YouTube. That's where we keep all our old television shows, and look on the Magazine Beach and find a lot of wonderful history and about what Kathy is doing. So going further upriver, you particularly also were interested to talk about Greenough Boulevard, which many of you might have seen under heavy construction. Here we have an aerial view. And this is a project that has been initiated by the Solomon Fund, by Herb Nolan, working with the DCR and the Cambridge Plant and Garden Club, and probably also the support of the City Council.
Absolutely.
There was some funding from the City of Cambridge for Hell's Half Acre.
Yeah.
And a great area. I mean, it's really, you're still in the middle of the city, and yet you are out in the greenery.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing when those paths are complete. So I think you have your next slide maybe is.
This is how it is now, where, you know, it's heavily used and you're right next to the traffic, and in some places there was not even a barrier between the running and the cars. But is it now, and that is how it will look like.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So when exactly will it be complete? I cycled along it a little bit last fall, and it was largely complete. So
well, it's good we didn't have a very heavy winter. I think it will be completed this spring.
Great.
So it's the big lifting has been done, and Herb Nolan and the Solomon Foundation have done a great job. And what you see here is that basically a driving lane will be replaced by a green buffer parkland, which will make this path so much more attractive.
Oh yeah, to get it away from the cars is a huge benefit.
It's a huge benefit.
Both for the air quality and just for the experience of being on a path. Yeah.
And it was, Greenough Boulevard was built too big. It was really built as too big a road. So traffic is a major thing. Has been a major theme of your campaign. And you had asked me also about this particular entry to Cambridge, the Anderson Memorial Bridge, which looks very different right now. That was before construction started. And
Yeah, it's been under construction a couple of years now. I've kind of lost track of time. I know that they've closed one lane and then the other lane, and there have been detours and so forth. I mean, you've always been able to drive over it.
That is part
They've kept it open.
That's part of the challenge. How do we restore a bridge while you keep the traffic flowing? There's
and of
bus
course,
lines.
it's such an important link for Harvard. Having the business school and all of the athletic stadium, we couldn't possibly close that bridge. So
I think one transportation expert said, well, it would have been quicker to build a temporary bridge, do this bridge over, but it's a historic bridge, and because it's a historic bridge, what we plan to do, adding this underpass, will take a bit more time because it requires special permitting. So we're here on the Boston side, and we've been working, it's now 8 years to advocate for this underpass. We got great support from the Boston City Council, from the Cambridge City Council, and Mass DOT is now at 25% design, so now we can go to the Mass Historical Commission to get this underpass, and then bicycling will be really nice.
That would be so great.
Yeah. So bicycling, I think, is very much part of the DNA of Cambridge.
Yes, and we're trying to make it more so.
More so, exactly.
Actually, just at our last city council meeting, we formally endorsed both the Complete Streets program and also Vision Zero. And Vision Zero is an effort to try to reduce fatalities on the roads to zero.
Yeah, because that is a big issue still.
Yeah, and it gets down to road design and...
Yeah. And then here in your neighborhood, in the Fresh Pond area, is land that has been acquired by Cambridge to create a connection between the Minuteman Bikeway and the Charles River.
Right. Yeah.
So we're not quite there yet, but there's still a link missing. But it's
well, the missing link, the brighter green on your map is, I think, it's past the 25% design stage, so it's coming on the 75% design, and that's so the whole path is called the Watertown Cambridge Greenway, and it runs along the former rail trail, which has been disused and abandoned to trains for many years. So it's a perfect opportunity to turn it into a multi-use path, and it will be a great connector because it will bring people right down to Greenough Boulevard and to the river and to the Arsenal area in Watertown, which is developing rapidly even as we speak. So.
Yeah. There's still a little link missing there near the river, but Watertown did with the black area at the bottom. Watertown did that. So step by step, it's happening.
I think once the path, the Greenway path is complete, it'll be very hard to resist finishing it so that it is a full connection. And I think that's the way things often work, is once you see the opportunity, then it's like,
It was our Secretary of Transportation recently came to the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce and spoke, and she said, nobody would think of building roads, we build bikeways. Nobody would build a stretch and then say, okay, it's stop.
That's right. Now get off your bike and figure it out.
Figure it out. Yeah. So Stephanie Pollock, she definitely understands the big picture.
She does.
So she's wonderful. She's a great advocate, and we're very lucky to have her as our Secretary of Transportation, and I'm sure...
And she's a huge environmental advocate as well.
She is.
Yeah, so it's good. Yeah.
It is wonderful indeed. So you probably have gone to the River Festival when your kids were small.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see a river in that picture.
Well, no, this was last year's. It was in Central Square. For 2 years, it was in Central Square because there was just so much construction along the Charles River. There was the Weeks Bridge construction. Then Harvard restored its houses. Yeah. So it was in Central Square. But this year, it will be going back to the river, not near the Anderson Bridge because there's still all this construction, but it will be in East Cambridge, kind of in front of the Sonesta Hotel. So it will be on the river, and so that will be a nice. It's going to be on the 4th of June.
Great.
So it's always a great event to enjoy the river, great food, great performances, and the Cambridge Arts Council does such a wonderful job.
Yeah, no, it's a really fun event.
Yeah.
I look forward to that, June 4th.
Yeah, and you were also helpful recently in the Cambridge City Council the city council voted unanimously to support the first urban ultra marathon on the waterfront. So it will not just be Boston, but also be Cambridge.
Yeah, another great idea from the Charles River Conservancy, and the Boston Harbor Association is also involved. So you're partnering with all kinds
with the Boston. It starts on the Neponset River, it goes up the Harbor Walk, and it goes around Castle Island, and then it will come over the river, and it will go up the river and down the river. And
this is in early November?
That is going to be on the 6th of November.
So I hope it's not snowing or...
No, although, runners are tough.
Yeah, particularly ones who are willing to do an ultra marathon.
Yeah, it's not going to be, a 100-mile one. It's going to be in the range of 50 kilometers, about 30 miles.
Oh, okay. Well, that's doable then.
It's absolutely doable. And it's also, one can do it in small segments. Yeah. So one doesn't have to do the whole thing. But we'll be celebrating
and the finish line is in East Cambridge near the Science Museum? That's
it's kind of near where the harbor and the river come together.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have also coming up the Run of the Charles that the Watershed Association is organizing, a great event. You can go to their website and sign up. It's a really national race and a lot of fun with that. And what's also coming up is Earth Day.
Yay!
Earth Day. So what you see here are the various areas, and the Charles River Conservancy is working where it's green. We have normally about 500 volunteers. We're working with other organizations like the Esplanade and the Watershed, and also Senator Brownsberger.
And I think my colleague Nadim Mazen is organizing
Absolutely.
a team. So
absolutely.
I'll come and be on Team Nadim for it's April 30th, right? A Saturday?
It's right. It's at the end of, it's a week after the normal Earth Day. Yeah. So it's a great way to be out there. We have a lot of corporations who come year after year, and student groups, because can you imagine a more beautiful place than to come on a day and work? So it's wonderful. Yes. So you have also been involved in an interesting effort in your campaign using social media in a very effective way. It's wonderful of how you really reached out to the whole neighborhood and got the neighborhood informed, because it's so important to let people know what's happening.
Yeah, well, I have a communications background, so that's what I've done professionally before I, ventured into politics. I've been a director of communications, and so I learned social media. I actually enjoy it. I like using Facebook to exchange information and so forth, and staying sort of current with social media trends. And so it did help in my campaign, I think, because it enabled me to communicate. I also blog. So as a writer, I express myself best, with words. And so I if anyone has the patience to read my thoughts, I now send a weekly email out to anyone who would like to receive it that gives an overview of the City Council's agenda each week. So I go through the agenda when we get it, and I comment on various items and try to bring, just raise the visibility of what the council does, because I honestly, I didn't always pay attention week by week to what the City Council was doing. So part of this for me is to try to raise awareness and educate others and to engage them in the city's civic life, just as you've done with the river.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you have an example of a blog that comes to mind that you might want to mention as an example of what would you point out? Would you talk about your committee work or upcoming votes?
Well, at the moment I've been sort of focusing closely on the agenda, because the agenda has, items from, sort of soup to nuts. It finds its way onto the City Council agenda each week, and some people come to public comment and speak on one issue and some on another. And so it's, it is a variety of topics every week, and some are obviously more important, and some are, short-term, and some are long-term things. So.
And, we are here on CCTV, and if you are interested in following what's happening in City Council, you can always go there on Monday at, what is it,
Yes.
starts at 6 o'clock?
No, 5:30.
5:30.
Yeah, so public comment begins on Mondays at 5:30.
And you have to sign in if you want
You can
to
sign
comment.
in. You
Yeah.
get up to 3 minutes to speak on any item on
Yeah.
the agenda. You can also email the council and get your comments put on the written public record.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's great to see
And-
friends come and talk about issues. It really
Yeah,
is.
last time when I came to speak about the ultramarathon, there was also Christy Katz who spoke about closing Memorial Drive on. It's
For
going
a
to be
walk ride day, and it's just before Earth Day, in fact. 'Cause
Yes,
it's Friday,
exactly.
April 29th.
29. So
And,
it's the
yeah.
last Friday, every last Friday of the month. She organizes this bike ride day that where
Yeah.
you ride to work and gets corporations to
Yeah, it's a
support that.
competition
Yeah.
among corporations to see who
Yeah.
can get the most employees to leave their cars or get out. Yeah, so this
So-
would close Memorial Drive for that for the first time. So
I mean, not
It's not-
close it.
well,
It
well,
wouldn't close it. It would allow one lane in each
Yeah,
direction
true.
to be open to bikes, so cars
Good point.
can still get through. So I think that's an interesting idea because often you need to test something out. I mean, if Memorial Drive would be closed to cars and open for bike, just in one sweep, that'd be very hard.
Yeah, well, when the Riverbend Park first closed Memorial Drive on a Sunday to cars, it was going to be a one-time thing. My understanding, they just celebrated their 40th anniversary.
Oh, I remember
something like
Isabella
that.
Halstead who started it.
and it was going to be a one-time thing. It wasn't envisioned that this would happen every Sunday, but it became something that
People loved.
saw was possible, saw that people appreciated,
Yeah.
and now it's a tradition. And I would love to see it be more of Memorial
Yeah.
Drive even on Sundays.
Yeah, I remember in the beginning she had to raise the money to pay for the overtime of the police and DCR staff to put the barriers there.
Yeah.
And then Governor Dukakis, he threw a frisbee, and then legislation was passed that this should become part of the MDC and now DCR's regular pattern.
Yeah.
So she worked years to make that happen, and now it's a place where families go for the kids to learn how to bike, to inline skate. It's
And you have
absolutely-
your activities on.
We have our Sunday Parkline
Yeah.
games, absolutely.
I know. Well,
So-
people will say that about you. That you worked for years to do what you've done.
But the skate park
When we're
definitely
swimming,
took a while.
when people are going to swim in the Charles
Yeah,
River, they'll
yeah.
say, Renata, she worked for years to make this possible.
Well, these things do take time,
They do.
And,
Yeah.
I looked up once of how long it takes other places to build their skate park because I thought ours was taking a bit too long to implement, although it was very toxic soil and very complicated.
Yeah.
But civic projects don't happen overnight. The same with affordable housing projects or transportation projects.
I know, and that's one of the things you learn as you get deeper and deeper into this is that everything takes much longer, and it's not because it's that people are incompetent or deliberately stalling. It's just that things do take a long time to do right. There's public process. There are all kinds of things that
But it
you
takes
need vision
people,
and you need a ton of patience and determination.
But it takes advocates.
It does.
I'm so delighted you entered into that field because you probably could do a lot of other things with your time rather than sit through meetings and make Cambridge a better city. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, I'm extremely grateful. It's been a lot of fun so far. I've had a tremendous time. It's
Good.
great
So here is our wonderful river. And if you just joined us, this is the Charles River Conservancy Parkland Show. We're always talking about this wonderful river, all the things that are happening along. And you can find previous shows on YouTube. And if you have a question about the Charles River or the Conservancy or what we do, you can contact us. And here is actually your contact here where you can be reached to City Council email.
Right, yeah, and I'm at City Hall a lot, and I have office hours on Wednesday morning. You can get in touch with me, and I'm happy to meet you then or any other time.
Wonderful.
I'm doing this as a full-time job, so,
Great.
get in touch.
So I hope to maybe this summer we have again City Splash. I hope you might want to come and help us. The former mayor of Cambridge, Alice Wolfe, who then became a state legislator,
Right. No, Alice,
she's
yes,
helped us establish a commission, the Snowmobile Trials or the Charles River Water Quality Commission that then Governor Deval Patrick established. So that was crucial in moving that agenda forward.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way, but
You have.
and over 1,000 people have already swam. And this notion about loving that dirty water, well, it's no longer dirty. So
Yeah.
it's exciting. So thank you for coming on the show
Thank you.
today. And if you have questions and you want to contact us, here is how you find us. And I hope you will continue to keep your environmental work and your
I will.
advocacy work up.
Yeah, and thank you. Thank you. It's always great to see you, Renata.